Welcome to Vintage Shop Talk, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to thriving in the antique mall world. Whether you're a mall owner, a booth vendor, or just curious about the behind-the-scenes actions here at the Griffin Antique Mall, we've got tips, tricks, and stories to inspire and elevate your business. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's get started.
This episode is sponsored by the Griffin Antique Mall in Edmond, Oklahoma. We are open Monday through Saturday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 5 p.m. You can also always shop us online at thegriffinmall.com. We'd also love if you gave us a follow on social media. We are on all the platforms. And now, let's get to the episode.
I would like to introduce y'all to the owners of the Griffin, Ben and Channing Gardner. Welcome, you guys. I want to jump right in with the biggest question we get. Who is the Griffin and how did it come about?
So a lot of people assume it's our last name. And we'll even have to call and say, is Mr. or Mrs. Griffin there? There is no Griffin. And I'll let you kind of tell it because it was more, you're right.
Yeah, so we basically were going through trying to figure out unique names, and the Griffin, it's a mythological creature. We started doing some research on finding things that had some meaning. And so the Griffin is a mythological Greek creature that guards treasures. So we felt like we needed a guardian over all these treasures.
Yeah. And we wanted a logo that could stand on its own. It's transferable. So if we ever opened multiple locations, it would be able to go with us. It wasn't regional specific. And so now we have a mascot.
Yeah. And how did the mall come about? Dream hearing?
Yes.
About that.
Yeah. So I have pretty vivid dreams, and then I become obsessed with a dream until it's great valid. These two know. But we had always loved antiques. My Nana was an antique dealer, and he grew up antique with his family. And then he had been reselling on Facebook for years. And we opened up an antique booth in another mall here locally, and we really enjoyed that process, but it was a little bit too far of a drive. And so then when we started looking here in Edmond, there really wasn't anything available. So we figured, why not do our own?
Yeah. Kind of we wanted to, I think a lot of times we just go all in and try it and see, if we can make it work and how we want to do it and do it our way, or how can we do it differently, or when we go out to other places, what are the key aspects that we pick up on that I would like to do it this way. And so we try to incorporate a lot of that stuff into our ventures.
And because we're shoppers and vendors, we really built the mall with both of those people in mind. And so there's some things here that are just not at other places. And a lot of them are just personal preferences for us.
Very good. And I know we're growing rapidly. So where do you see the Griffin in, let's just say, 5 years?
That's a scary question to ask me. I see us with multiple locations. I see us with a big YouTube and online social media presence. I see us helping kind of coach other antique malls and bringing them into the 21st century and kind of helping owners gain back some of their freedom. I see our vendors being able to ship nationwide. And hopefully by that point, we figured out shipping enough that we can even do international shipping, because we have quite a few people who view our website internationally.
Yeah, I think for me, it's, because we each have kind of our different strong suits. So for me, it's, how do we become that staple, when someone needs a quality piece or they need this, we are how to go to, whether that's locally, but then also internationally. So whether that's partnering with interior designers, buyers, that to me is kind of a fun business development where, how can we work together, collaborate with people to be able to bring things into, whether that's new homes, old homes. And then also, I would like to someday open up a few other little key aspects of the store that I want to keep a little closer to the chest until it's kind of time. But there are things in the works that, for expanding and making it just a little more robust of a store.
I love that. How about you?
I mean, definitely more locations for sure. The website is taking off, so we can have a whole like shipping department would be really cool. And I love to go overseas. I mean, I don't want to go overseas. I will stay here. I would like to talk about our rules at the mall. So, Ben, what do you do here?
Pester.
Exactly.
My biggest thing is, the sourcing, staging, kind of being the muscle, helping people move stuff around. And then, just communicating, with our vendors if they have questions on like lighting, how to put this in there, maybe use of space, historian.
That you are. You love history.
And general idea person.
My northern lights, my logic.
Yeah. Voice of reason.
Nobody knows that I do. So I built websites, a lot of my jobs that the SEO is up to date, and so we can be found on Google. It's coming up with content strategy so that we can be seen online. It's making sure that our software is operating properly. Features that are new, just in general. So it's not even that like other AntiqueMall are using them. Like most businesses, small businesses, are not using them right now. So making sure that that's operating properly. I design the contracts, basically anything back end that sounds really boring. That's my jam.
There you go. I really do believe without either one of your skill sets, we would not be who we are today. We really need like two crazy people. Yeah. Go into it together and to have those different skill sets. So it's great.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh man. So
My second brain.
right. I hire, I fire. I'm just kidding. And then I help run social media. I open the store, I close the store, communications, customer communications. Try to be a little ideal factory, events.
Yeah.
My favorite role that you have is you're responsible for the peopling.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I've got so much ADHD and OCD, depending on where I am and like production wise of a project, I don't have the bandwidth to like communicate properly. Like there's times that I'm like, I need you to answer this because I don't have a nice way of saying it. And it's not that I even had a rude way of saying it. It's just, I literally don't know what to tell this person about this thing. I don't have the brain space for it. And so you handle most of the peopling.
I do, I guess. Yeah.
And that means that when I do the peopling, I can people better.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having to people all the time.
So what happens when I don't want to people?
We close.
We're close that day.
Let's talk about Zach's role.
Okay, Zach's not here. He'll be here. He's off today. But Zach does the website. And he also helps manages the mall, like opens and closes and vendor communication, customer communication. But his main thing is the website. So if you go to our website and you see it, it's all him. He takes the beautiful photos, almost like professional photographer style.
Yep.
Does all the SEO, and every time we have an order, we on the website.
So, and we're shipping every week now, which is awesome. And soon it'll be every day. Well, and what's really cool is he doesn't come from the world of antiques either. And you got to think when he takes the photo, he's having to write a description based on what the vendor said it is. So if the vendor just says it's a clear glass sugar bowl or vase, he then is having to research, is there a maker mark? Do we know a time period? What would be the uses of it? And then he's writing the descriptions. And so he's really kind of like,
We're tricking him into
Right.
into researching it and just finding out more about, like, is there a better way of saying clear vase?
yeah.
Is it cut? Is it pressed? Is it this kind of glass?
He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
He's enjoying it, and he gets so excited to see like what he's learning and stuff like that. So I love seeing that. And the growth that we've seen from Zach too has been phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When we first interviewed Zach, he was so nervous that he could barely finish his whole thing. Yeah. And I was just telling him the other day, I did not think he was going to show up for his first day.
Yeah.
I said, man, I really did not think that you were going to show. But I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah.
And I know that we've thrown him into so many roles that like he was like, I can't do that. Like that is way above. And then just the other day, he called other antique malls who he'd never met before, asking for the owner specifically and offering. We have a little flyer that we make for the other antique malls to support the other antique malls. And he was asking if they wanted us to make them a custom one. I'm like, look at you go.
Right.
Go. It's great.
So that's another thing. Yeah, he will. He's excited. We've been talking about it. So that's another thing. What do you want other people to know about the Griffin? Because I think in the beginning it came, who are we? We can't trust them, stuff like that. Just we're the new kids on the block, so no one knows who we are. So why don't we just touch really quickly on who we are and our point of view of the mall culture here in Oklahoma?
Yes.
I think for me, I think there's a lot of distrust among, because I think a lot of these people, in what I can read online, and things, people who have been in this industry, whether that's a vendor or owner for a long time, been screwed over before,
Cutthroat.
and it's a lot of distrust. And so I think for us, not being in this, before, we don't have that kind of baggage that we're bringing into this. And so for us, myself anyway, it's very, innocent, I guess is the best way to describe it. Like, I think for us, like, I would love it if another shop opened up right across the street, because I think if there's a hub, you have a lot more chance of just drawing people in, because then they can kind of go between stores and stuff. And so I think it's great. The more that we can get them, especially the closer you can get them together, I think that everybody can feed off of each other. They can have different events. They can have different things that can draw people in. Because again, if everybody was doing the same thing, I think it would all kind of fall flat. And so for me, particularly, I like the idea of collaborations. I like the idea of either working together, because, not every vendor can be in every single mall. So it's great because, like, one mall may be more, industrial, farmhouse kind of raw. And then you can have others that are more maybe refined. And then some of them only deal with European antiques. Some only deal with, and so for me, it's kind of a neat way that we can then, if someone's coming looking for painted furniture, oh, well, we don't, we have a couple pieces, but maybe we don't have very much, but we know this place has a lot, because there's 3 or 4 vendors in there that is kind of their specialty, is like refinishing and painting furniture. So to me, I like the idea of being able to collaborate and know each other well enough to say, hey, go over here, because they have, these people who think have what you want. And that's part of, like, why we do a flyer, why we created a website, to be able to have a directory for other people to see, because also for them to plan trips when they come out of state and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's my perception of what coming into this.
Yeah.
What my hope is for the future is that we can kind of start removing some of that animosity that these people seem to have towards each other. Instead of looking at everything as just being so competitive in the, my event was bigger than your event, or, whatever, that, everybody can just kind of help each other, because rising tide lifts all boats. And so how can we rise the tide together?
Yeah. And I always tell our vendors, if you're in multiple malls, that's awesome. We will promote you. We will tag other malls sharing you. We want you to be successful, because your success is our success.
Right.
And I think that's just something that we've been saying from the beginning, and it's almost like no one believes us, but it's true. We're not here to be.
I think it's viewed as naivety.
Yeah.
And it's really not naivety. It's strategic. Like we are not being naive that if somebody shops, I guess the viewpoint is if somebody shops over here, it doesn't mean they're not going to shop. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's the way that it's viewed. Well, that's a customer loss. Absolutely not. Antique lovers want to see as much variety as possible. The hunt is part of why they love antiquing. And if they can only hunt in one forest, and the forest doesn't change often, they're going to lose interest. But if they have so many different options, then everybody benefits. And so, we don't believe that it is a competition.
No, I sent a customer to another mall the other day. I thought the mall they thought I was up to something. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this client needed this. I'm pretty sure you have it. Do you want to buy it? Like, I'm not trying to be shady, I promise. Just trying to get the customer what they want. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Right.
The vendors are happy, the customers are happy. And in my mind, it's like Miracle on 34th Street. You have seen that. Santa's sends them to another mall. The same thing. So we're basically Santa's with Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we've even helped place vendors too. You know, there's a few vendors that came in that our customer base wasn't interested in what they had. I'm not interested enough that they can make a profit here. So instead of just being pissed that they wanted to leave, and, you know, we said, you know, yeah, we think you would be better served over here. In fact, you can help make an introduction if you'd like. And here's the booth spaces that they have available right now. And, you know, here's the best way to reach them. Because at the end of the day, it's about letting the customer find what the customer is looking for at the price point they're looking for it, and helping the vendors to make the profit that they need to keep doing this. Because a lot of these vendors, this isn't what pays their bills. They just love antiques. And as long as it's not costing them money, they're making some profit, they just want to keep shopping. That's how we started. We didn't want to stop shopping, but we couldn't keep hoarding all the stuff. And so we started reselling. And that way we get to take the piece and we get to love it for a while. And then when we're done with the piece, we can sell it. And then it's been well taken care of. But we don't think that antiques should live in storage units. They should be someplace that they can be appreciated, whether it's somebody's home or a vintage mall where people can pass by and appreciate it.
So let's talk about our podcast. You know, our first go at this. What can our listeners and viewers expect this season?
Chaos.
Pure and utter chaos. I have no idea what we're doing, guys. But let's just say, like, for me, I want people to know who we are as people, as mall owners, as mall managers. We live and work in Edmond. We love this place. I love Edmond. I'm from here and I love this place. You never leave. My husband's trying to get me to, and I'm like, no, good. Nice. And then also the inner workings of our mall is different from other malls. And I hope we can touch on all that so people know how much thought went into what we're doing with barcodes, little sneak peek barcodes, our 80-20 rule, just some other rules like those scented things, those candles. That's been a huge one. We've had so many customers thank us for that, you know. So just wanted that's for me what I want to get out is who we are and why we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, in line with the competitive nature of this industry, my hope is that by us talking about what we do, how we do it, why we do it, that there's maybe somebody else that's struggling in this industry that can take some of these and it can make their life a little bit easier, you know? And I think the more that we can open our doors and our hearts to others, the better off the community is as a whole. And so I think that's one of my goals for the podcast.
Yeah. You get anytime. Bless.
Yeah.
We love to sit down, coffee with you, and just chat and help you in any way. Free of charge.
Yeah.
Advice is free.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for me, it's that I enjoy the stories about it. So I think that we'll probably have some episodes where it may be, you know, helping people figure out, you know, like how to look at stampings on silver or, you know, look at furniture pieces and stuff. So from my side, you know, doing some design aspects.
Well, and helping the vendors too. I know you want to talk about like how to set up a booth successfully, why certain aspects matter, and the little taboo things that you should avoid.
Yeah. What to avoid, in my opinion. And then also, you know, the natural flow of like setting up a booth and what kind of things do people want to see. And then how to pay attention to trends, you know, because I'm not necessarily the leader in following that kind of stuff. I'm working on getting better. So this is kind of my journey and going from just focusing 100% on what I like or just 100% on the trends. Because again, if you just follow trends, you're always going to be playing catch up because it's always changing. But like how you incorporate little bits of trends into what you already have. Like, so if you already have good state foundation, then you can kind of incorporate like color changes and, different kind of setups without having to like model your own. And so kind of touching up on like where to go to find those things, or, you know, maybe that's some of the stuff that, you know, we cover in this periodic is upcoming trends that we see.
I also want you to talk eventually about how to shop too, because I've heard you tell vendors how to shop. I never really looked at it that way because I'm not a vendor. And then when you were saying all of that, it was very mind blowing. I was like, what? That's genius.
Yeah.
So
I know
that's very
that
helpful.
We'll probably end up having some of our vendors that on here for brief interviews. We really do appreciate them so much, and they've got great stories. So we'd love to tell some of those. And then my hope would be eventually we're every other antique malls, and talking about their origin and how they're set up and what their experience has been.
We're coming for you.
In a nice way.
In a nice way. Not in a creepy way. In a nice way.
With candy.
With candy. Well, I don't know. Free candy.
Yeah,
In the van.
it'll be interesting to see, kind of some of the feedback and stuff with, who the listeners end up kind of being, is it mall owners? Is it just people who enjoy antiques as a hobby? Or is it booth owners? And like, I start seeing, I think it's going to be everyone also, but, that's why we want to kind of create, like, we don't want to 100% focus on this being mall ownership information or booth owner information. We kind of want it to be anybody can look at it for inspiration and say, oh, I can take these things whenever I'm shopping. And maybe some people are going to learn, better ways to shop just for themselves.
At any point y'all have questions that you want us to answer.
Yep. Or email. I'm sure we'll have an email link in there.
Yep.
Where you can find us on all the socials.
Literally. We like to say we're a content company who happens to be small time landlord rentals who also help customers shop.
Multifaceted. Awesome.
See you next time.
Bye.